Hi guys, today we are going to talk about the SI joints, the sacroiliac joint. So here we have our model, and we're going to take all the muscles away, and we're going to look at the skeleton. And so if we zoom in, here's our pelvis. Let's see here. We're going to do multi-select, and then there's our two iliums, two pubis, two ramus. Now, you'd see it's kind of separated out here, but this is one giant bone right here. And so we're just going to call this the ilium. And this is an ilium right here. So let's take a look at that in 3D. So there's those two pieces. And the third piece is going to be our sacrum. We'll go ahead and select the coccyx since it's not selecting that. So there's our three sections of the pelvis. 1, 2, 3. Two iliums and a sacrum. So, because there's three pieces, there's three joints. And so that's going to be our two SI joints, our sacroiliac joints, and then the pubic symphysis up front. Geez, I've really never had anyone with an issue with their pubic symphysis. Let's throw the connective tissue on here. We'll just see what that looks like. Pubic symphysis is really cool because it's what really spreads out during childbirth. It might go from just a few millimeters of space here, maybe 2 millimeters, up to like 6 to 10 millimeters because of that relaxin hormone that's women secrete when they're pregnant. So look at all this connective tissue kind of wrapped around these SI joints right here. And I'm going to show you another view here. We're just going to, let's deselect these, and we're just going to select the sacrum, and then we're going to fade others. And that surface right there is the articular surface of the SI joint. Now, how I explain the SI joint is it's kind of like two nested bowls, but it's like two nested bowls that a kid made in ceramics class. So these joints are considered immovable joints, but they do move a little bit, and they need to move a little bit. And I'm going to show you something else cool here. And that is no muscle crosses the SI joint. And so we're going to throw the muscle on here, and we're just going to watch as I slowly do this. We're not going to see any muscle cross the SI joint. And that's all of them. And you can see it's just kind of an anchor ridge between the upper and the lower body. And we'll just fade others. That sacrum. And so the SI joint is really problem prone, especially in women. So let's go ahead and switch over to our female model here. The SI joints are just a little different in women. They're a little bit larger, a little bit more kind of shapely, and that's because women have to deal with childbirth. And so during childbirth, those SI joints and the pubic symphysis really just they go to their limits. It's almost like the pelvis breaks apart during childbirth to get that large cranium through that birth canal. And so the SI joints they're really touchy. And a lot of people, I think 9 times out of 10, they'll come in and they'll say, I have a sciatic issue, and they'll put their hand right here. And if you're hurting up here, not low back, but just kind of on the bottom ridge of this hip, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be SI joint. And let's just show you the sciatic nerve right here. So this big glob right here is the sciatic nerve. And the sciatic nerve is usually going to happen with in conjunction with some piriformis issues. Piriformis is going to be right here. And so how you can really tell the difference between SI joint pain and sciatic pain is SI joint pain will usually start up here, and it really won't ever go past the knee. Where sciatic pain will usually start down here, and it will go past the knee. And that's just kind of a rule of thumb. Now, the health of the SI joints is really dependent upon how you move your body. So again, there's no muscles that really cross between the lower half of the hip and the upper half of the lower half of the body and upper half of the body. And so what that means is that we really don't want to throw any crazy kinetic energy between the upper and the lower half of the body that the pelvis just can't handle. And so if you're throwing really traumatic stuff through here, I'll tell you a really interesting find I had. I work on a lot of yoga instructors because I have a work trade with a yoga studio. And these are amazing athletes, just amazing physiques, very aware of their body. And most of them were women, and 4 out of 5 had SI joint issues. And I was like, what the hell is going on? You're amazing, beautiful athletes. And what I figured out was they were trying so hard to get into whatever position they were trying to get into that they were stealing mobility from the SI joints. So the lesson was, or the lesson is, don't steal mobility from here. And so I want people to protect their lumbar and their SI joints. So this area here, we're going to get some flexion extension, most of our flexion extension from the back from L5S1 right here. But for the most part, we do not want to get mobility from here. Get it from the thoracic and get it from the hips. The hips get tight, we lose mobility. We're going to steal that mobility from the low back and the SI joints, and they are going to suffer. Same thing with the thoracic. This is going to, when the thoracic gets tight because it's strong and well supported, we're going to lose mobility here, and then we're going to steal it from here. The SI joints are just tricky. There's a mobility test for the SI joints. One of my favorite ones is I just have someone laying on their back, and I put a palm here and a palm here on the 2 iliac crests, and I push on one and then the other and kind of feel how they move. Sometimes one will be totally locked up. Other times the other one feels like my hand will sink all the way to the table. And we want the SI joints to kind of be a Goldilocks joint. We don't want it locked up, and we don't want it completely free. We want it to move a little bit and just a little bit. And so it's hard for me to explain what that feels like. But when I do this SI joint mobility test on my clients, I really try to tell them to feel what this mobility feels like. And so the only treatment I really have for this, it's not really in clinic. It's more along the lines of physical therapy. It is transverse abdominis here. And let's see, that's external abdominis oblique. Let me see if I can. Internal. There we go. So transverse abdominis here. Transverse abdominis is the best friend of the low back and the SI joint. And this is the hardest muscle to train. And so it's really going to be this stuff down here that we're training, this really low section. And so what I instruct people to do is take a deep breath. You can put your hand right here too. Just go find that bony iliac crest and kind of move a couple inches in and kind of push into this. And this is the muscle we want to use. And so take a big deep breath in, and then breathe all the way out, all the air. And at the very end, squeeze this muscle. And you can feel it with your hand. And if you feel all the way down here, that's transverse abdominis. This is an exercise that women are better at just because they have more awareness of this area than men. And men just kind of have a harder time. So another cue is act like you were about to jump into ice cold water, like you're going to do one of those polar plunges. And so mentally, just picture yourself doing that. And right when you hit that water, you're going to tense up, and you're going to tense this muscle. And so that's another exercise cue. You can kind of learn to fire this muscle. So when I am doing yoga, I get into whatever position I'm getting into, and I try to protect this area and not get mobility from it. I try to get mobility from my hips, thoracic, or anything else, basically. And then when I get into that position, I suck in my belly, I do deep breathing, and I work transverse abdominis. And I continue to do that through every position we go through. And that is probably the core of my yoga practice, is developing this transverse and low abdominal stuff. I think that's all I got, guys. Another good one is collagen. I did a collagen video. If you'd like to know more about me or schedule with me, go to fitbodywork.com And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I do massage therapy, personal training, and I do online consultations as well. Other than that, thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.